Good morning from Yami B TV, you lot. Now, before I get into doing another couple of videos today by way of different subjects and topics, this video now, and it will be a case that we cover on Yami B TV till it reaches its absolute conclusion. Now, we don't normally comment on cases that haven't been concluded yet because we don't know what's going to unfold in the courtroom, so to speak. But the case we talk about this morning is the one that I promised you yesterday, and it involves John Hunt, the BBC commentator stroke presenter who tragically lost his wife Carol and his two lovely daughters, all right? The person that's been arrested, Carl Clifford, these events have unfolded quite close to where I live, right? Carl Clifford, I met him once, don't know him, right? He was in the forces, so to speak, listen carefully. Looks like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. Looks pretty normal, you know. I met many men over the years that look normal, that commit horrific, horrendous crimes and that kind of stuff, right? But they're still a relatively young man and that kind of stuff. So John Hunt goes to work, right? And remember, I'm privileged to talk in the town and all the information that's coming through, but it doesn't mean that I'm right, all right? So we'll look at this video by way of suggestions and opinions from Yami B TV, right? John Hunt goes to work, and the perpetrator allegedly, if we believe what everybody's saying, Carl Clifford murders his wife and two children while he's not there. Did he know that Jonathan Hunt wasn't going to be there? I don't know. No, he hasn't reached the courtroom yet. They die. I'm not going to go into the graphic details about what took place with, what the forensics say and what the crime laboratory reports are going to say by way of crossbow weapons being tied up and that kind of stuff. But it's a very decisive, clinical plan by the alleged perpetrator, to go and murder all three of them. So we can safely say that whatever plan he came with, he executed, right? No ifs or buts about that. They didn't kill themselves, right? So whoever done it, they knew exactly what they was doing. Now, after that, those murders, right, in whatever way it happened, there is a manhunt that pursues around here, and they're looking for Carl Clifford, right? So he goes on the run for a few days, doesn't give himself up. Next thing now, he ends up, by way of what they're telling us on social media where they filmed it, that he was found in a cemetery with loads of injuries. Now, I'm suggesting that all those injuries were self-inflicted, all right? In a cemetery, what does it suggest? By the alleged perpetrator, I wish I could die. The realization that what you've done is absolutely awful, and knowing full well that if you get caught now, which you will do, and you have done, that you end up with a life sentence where you're never coming out. You had the strength and the know-how to commit all those murders, but you didn't have the strength and the courage to take your own life out, right? I'm suggesting that in the courtroom, when it comes, that there will be a suggestion of PTSD from the forces. I didn't know what I was doing. But what it really suggests to me, it sounds like poor me, and looking another way out by way of when the court case comes, with the realization that what he'd done, even though he was in fully control of that, and it wasn't too shortly afterwards that he was in control of what took place in the cemetery, apart from taking his own life, you might think about using that in a courtroom. I knew many men from the armed forces that definitely had PTSD. It doesn't really suggest that to me, but I'm just saying that, all right? So it suggests of poor me, because otherwise you would have taken your own life for those actions. But yeah, so he's got the injuries, ends up in hospital. I conclude for now that he's been charged, he's in custody, right? So I conclude for now, and this is very, very important, and Jonathan Hunt comes out yesterday and he says, listen, all of you, he was speaking hypothetically probably to people in general, in the world in general, that tomorrow's never promised to no one, that, you can leave for work, as a normal human being, a normal man, and come home and your family are not around no more. So he says, live the best you can with what you've got, because, life isn't, fair sometimes. What a fucking man. And that speaks because he's so much loved around here, respected by everybody that's ever had been into contacts with him. I've got people that knew his kids when they were sharing the same school as those kids when he was picking them up. So, I've got a lot of information. But what a man to come. His whole life lies in ruins because a man couldn't handle the rejection of not his daughter not wanting to be with him. I'm just suggesting, it doesn't mean I'm right? And then wants to blame the mum and the other daughter for encouraging her not to be with him because they could see sinister things in him. I'm just saying, man, I'm not quite right sometimes, or am I? And he wants to commit an act completely and utterly evil like that based on your lack of understanding what rejection means, when we know that you can't be forced. You can never force nobody to love you for effing hell's sake. But you take those thoughts and feelings and those things for some reason that you can't handle inside you to the most extreme level that man could ever do. And sadly, another man whose whole family's been wiped out has to suffer because of your lack of self-control, your mindset, and your actions, why his life can never, ever be the same again. I am pissed off by this case. We will be covering it to the bitter end. They will try to use that in the courtroom, I suggest, but I say never to come out again. Really, in reality, and it gets back to what we talk about on Yamibi TV a lot, is why you let the child killers Pitchfork out and all those other people out, but people like Slaney and all them other people you leave in there to rot in hell, but yet you will give these other people loads of chances. On this one, no, you will say it in the courtroom, undoubtedly, that he's never to come out again and blah, 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 but he'll probably be young enough in 40 years to try and get back out. But on this occasion, my heart goes out to John Hunt, a morally correct man who came out with that yesterday, and really, in reality, he's probably got it absolutely right.